It's like, it's just a big commotion. So I was just letting the fans just kind of relax. Like we're not here to hurt anyone. It's a basketball play, and that's what it's going to do. We're going to continue to make basketball plays, and it's going to be physical, is what we're trained to do. But that was my biggest thing, was just kind of be a fan. Yes, cheer for your team. That's okay. But at the same time, this is our job. I'm not going to hurt E-Dub, and she knows that. I'm actually checking to make sure she's okay. So I don't like the instigating. It doesn't help our game. It doesn't grow our game. So that's what I was telling people, just to kind of relax. Like, it's okay.
The Las Vegas Aces, the team that was supposed to three-peat as champions, are falling apart faster than a dollar store lawn chair. 3 losses in a row? Check. A defense that leaks points like a broken faucet? Check. Asia Wilson still getting MVP-level praise despite all this? Big check. While everyone's busy crowning Wilson as the eternal queen of basketball, there's another player out here absolutely demolishing the competition, breaking records, and carrying her team to perfection. Spoiler alert, it's not Asia Wilson.
And this is a problem is that, in general, when it comes to WNBA talk, you cannot say that Asia Wilson's not the best player in the world when she's not. Nafisa Collier is on a 7-0 Minnesota Lynx team and is averaging 26.3 points and 8.3 rebounds per game, and she's doing it on 51% from the field and 45%.
The Las Vegas Aces lost 3 games in a row for the first time since 2019. 3 in a row. The last time that happened, Bill Laimbeer was still coaching, and we all know how that era ended. But here's the kicker. Despite this train wreck of a season start, despite sitting at a mediocre record that would make even the most optimistic fan nervous, Asia Wilson is still getting praised like she's single-handedly carrying the league on her back.
The award. Before Clark's injury, she was under 115 to win the award, while Collier sat at over 160. But as of earlier this week, Collier now sits at under 175 to win the award, while Clark's MVP odds lengthened to over 250. Collier's averaging almost 30.7 rebounds and 3 assists, and the Lynx are currently undefeated, sitting first in the
Meanwhile, up in Minnesota, there's a woman named Nafisa Collier who's literally rewriting the script on what MVP-level basketball looks like. And the contrast? It's so stark you'd need sunglasses to look at it directly. Let's talk numbers, because numbers don't lie, even when the narrative does. Asia Wilson is putting up 22.8 points and 10.5 rebounds per game. Solid numbers, sure, the kind of stats that get you mentioned in conversations and keep your name trending on social media. But here's what those numbers aren't doing. They're not winning games for a team that's supposed to be championship caliber.
Asia shouldn't have won MVP last year. She has all these pieces, all these big names, and they're struggling. They're struggling. Visa Collier has, if we going band for band, Visa Collier has way less help. We're talking about superstardom. And she had a team in the finals, and right now they're 3-0, 4-0. She's averaging.
Now flip the script to Nafisa Collier, who's out here averaging 26.3 points and 8.3 rebounds while shooting an absolutely ridiculous 51.4% from the field. And get this, she's doing it while leading her team to a perfect 7-0 start. 7-0. That's not just good basketball. That's domination. That's the kind of performance that makes you lean back in your chair and say, now that's what an MVP looks like.
If a WNBA game was as long as an NBA game, Nafisa Collier would be averaging more points per game than anyone, men or women. She's averaging 30 points per game this season, and her spin move to the left in the pull-up might be the most unguardable shot in all of basketball. If you're on her back and you see her start to turn over that right shoulder, just start running down to set up the offense. And if she gets a head of steam going to the basket, she can put on the brakes or blow by you to scoop to the rim. She can score pretty much any way she wants as long as she's in the paint. She's even got the little Dirk fadeaway. Dog. Oh, and she's shooting 54% from 3. After winning Defensive Player of the Year last season, it looks like she's got her sights set on MVP.
If you are enjoying, please subscribe. The Las Vegas Aces 2025 season has been a masterclass in unmet expectations. Once heralded as the WNBA's unstoppable dynasty, the back-to-back champions stumbled out of the gate with a 92-82-78 loss to the New York Liberty, followed by a 102-82 blowout defeat to the Seattle Storm. Their defensive rating plummeted from 97.7 in 2023 to 99.6, a decline head coach Becky Hammon bluntly attributed to a lack of old-school accountability. Yet, amid this turbulence, Asia Wilson, the Aces star forward and reigning MVP, continues to dominate headlines, accolades, and adoration. Meanwhile, Nafisa Collier, the Minnesota Lynx's transcendent talent averaging 26.3 points and 8.3 rebounds while leading her team to a flawless 7-0 start, operates in relative obscurity. The Aces' struggles are not merely a product of bad luck, but a systemic unraveling. Candace Parker's abrupt retirement in April 2024 gutted the team's depth, leaving Wilson, Kelsey Plum, and Jackie Young to shoulder unsustainable burdens. Parker's absence created a vacuum in leadership and versatility, forcing the Aces into a reactive roster shuffle that included trading Plum to the Sparks and acquiring Jewel Lloyd. The result? A bench so anemic that even Wilson's 31-point outburst against New York couldn't mask its deficiency.
Wrong. The Las Vegas Aces are 4-2 on the season. She is averaging 23, 10.5 rebounds, 4.2 assists, and a lot of steals on 47% from the field and 26% from three. So Fia is shooting 4% better from the field, 20% better from three. Am I right in saying that? Yeah, 20% better from three. And she is also not statistically as good a defender, but she's a better defender. She's still averaging a crazy amount of stocks, but she is the better defender because she's more versatile. She defends better on the perimeter. She's not as good a shot blocker, which AJ Wilson is, but she actually guards people. AJ Wilson just chills under the basket. And in terms of getting in passing lanes, they're very similar. So, Fee is the best player in the world.
But here's where it gets really spicy. The Vegas golden child, A'ja Wilson, is getting all the media attention, all the highlight reels, all the "she's so amazing" commentary, while Collier is quietly becoming the betting favorite for MVP at 170 odds. Let that sink in for a moment. Wilson's 22.8 points and 10.5 rebounds per game glitter on paper, but they're symptoms of a broken system. The Aces' defense, once their crown jewel, now hemorrhages 10 three-pointers per game, second worst in the league. In their historic 28-point collapse to Chicago in 2022, Wilson's 20.18 rebound stat line was rendered meaningless as the Sky exploited defensive lapses and poor transition discipline. Fast forward to 2025, Seattle's 75-70 victory over Las Vegas showcased Wilson's 19-point effort, but the Storm's 43.1% shooting and 36.4% from three underscored the Aces' inability to lock down when it matters. Wilson's numbers, while impressive, are increasingly divorced from winning basketball. The odds makers, people whose job it is to predict outcomes based on actual performance, have Collier as the overwhelming favorite. Wilson? She's sitting at plus 700. That's not even close. They're both great players. That's one player clearly outperforming the other, and it's not even a conversation.
I have Nafisa Collier winning Defensive Player of the Year this season. Like I said, I think she is coming back into this season with a vengeance, and I saw so much good defense from her in Unrivaled. And I think that's one thing about Unrivaled in that 3-on-3 full court format, and even with the one-on-one games that we saw, players were getting exposed if they weren't able to guard one-on-one on defense. And Nafisa is somebody who exposed a lot of players with her defensive abilities, with her blocking abilities, with how quick she has gotten. She continues to elevate her game, and so I have her as a favorite, as my favorite for Defensive Player of the Year.
The WNBA GMs seem to get it, though. In their annual survey, 67% of them picked Collier as the MVP favorite. Wilson got 25%, Clark got 8%. When the people who actually build these teams and make personnel decisions are telling you that Collier is the clear choice, maybe it's time to listen. And let's talk about what Collier did to start this season. 34 points in the opener against Dallas, not a good game. Not a solid performance. 34 points, the kind of night that makes opposing coaches wake up in cold sweats. Then she followed it up with 23 points against the Sparks. Her 57 points through the first two games were the most by a Lynx player since Maya Moore dropped 67 points to start 2014. And guess what? Maya Moore won MVP that year. The story being told about these two players couldn't be more different if they were written by opposing political parties. Wilson gets the "she's carrying her team" storyline, while the Aces are struggling. Collier gets the "she's having a nice season" treatment while leading her team to perfection. Let's be real about what's happening in Vegas. This isn't just a slow start. This isn't growing pains or early season rust. The Aces are having fundamental problems. Their defense, which used to be their calling card, is giving up almost 10 three-pointers per game. That's second worst in the league. Their pace is slowed, their assists are down, and they're missing their floor general in Chelsea Gray. These aren't small problems. These are maybe we're not as good as we thought problems.
When you're watching this team, you can tell that something is off on both sides of the floor. This could be due to not having built the chemistry they need with the new addition of Jewel Lloyd, but this is still unacceptable output by this team. We're talking about a team that literally coming into this season, a lot of people had contending for a championship. And it doesn't look like they're...
And through all of this, A'ja Wilson is putting up her numbers in a system that's clearly broken. She's getting her 20 and 10, but her team is losing games they should win and looking vulnerable against teams they should dominate. Meanwhile, Collier is putting up better numbers in a system that's humming like a Swiss watch, leading her team to victories that look effortless. The defensive end tells an even more interesting story. Wilson gets credit for being this dominant interior presence, and sure, she's blocking shots and altering others, but Collier was literally the Defensive Player of the Year last season while also finishing second in MVP voting. She's doing both ends of the court at an elite level, and somehow that's getting less attention than Wilson's one-way dominance. Here's what really bothers me about this whole situation. It's not about the players themselves. Both Wilson and Collier are incredible athletes who deserve respect and recognition. This is about the league's obvious favorites and how that influences narrative and coverage. Wilson has been the golden child for years, and even when her performance doesn't match the hype, even when her team struggles, even when other players are clearly outperforming her, she still gets the bulk of the attention. Wilson's resume, 2 MVPs, 2 titles, Olympic gold, has cemented her as a media darling, Times 2025 Women of the Year honor, and LeBron James' public praise after her game winner against Chicago reinforce her icon status regardless of team context. This legacy bias is amplified by the WNBA's marketing apparatus, which prioritizes established stars over emergent ones. Wilson's career is framed as the greatest in WNBA history, a narrative that drowns out Collier's real-time excellence.
Napheesa Collier averaged 40 points in a playoff series last year. She was the finals MVP. And I understand, fair play, congratulations to Jonquel Jones winning it, but it was daylight robbery. Everybody knows. LeBron James was calling the WNBA rigged. Damian Lillard was calling the WNBA rigged. Everybody knows that that the WNBA final was, if not rigged, at least was decided by horrific refereeing. We all know that. So Napheesa Collier won MVP and Unrivaled, was by far the best.
Look at the team records. Minnesota Lynx is 7-0, perfect, flawless, the kind of start that championship teams dream about. Vegas Aces is 4-2 at best, coming off that embarrassing 3-game losing streak. If we're being honest about team success and individual impact, there's no comparison here. Collier is leading her team to greatness while Wilson is watching hers fall apart. And it's not like Collier is some unknown commodity riding a hot streak. This woman was runner-up for MVP last year, won Defensive Player of the Year, led her team to the finals, and then went and won MVP of the inaugural Unrivaled League. She's been elite at every level, and she's only getting better. The eye test backs up the numbers too. When you watch Collier play, you see someone who impacts every possession. She's scoring efficiently, creating for teammates, locking down defensively, and making winning plays in clutch moments. When you watch Wilson, you see someone putting up stats on a team that's underperforming expectations.
It's because Napheesa Collier is a great player. One of the top 3 players in the league, maybe better than that. She has everything. She moves well without the ball. She moves well with the ball. She can get to her spots, hit you with that little fadeaway that there's nothing you can do about. She can play defense in a variety of ways, inside, out. Just a tremendous player. One of the reasons she's one of the co-founders along with Breanna Stewart is because she's a great player. And the reason she won the tournament is because she was better than everyone else who was in it. And the rest of it just sounds like crying.
But here's the part that really shows you how deep the favoritism runs: the coverage. Turn on any WNBA broadcast, check any sports website, scroll through any social media feed, and you'll see A'ja Wilson's name front and center. Collier, she gets mentioned in passing, usually as another player having a good season, or also in the MVP conversation. Meanwhile, she's literally leading the MVP race in every meaningful metric. The betting markets have spoken, the GMs have spoken, the on-court performance has spoken. Yet somehow, the narrative remains stuck in this alternate reality where Wilson is still the standard despite clear evidence to the contrary. This isn't about tearing down A'ja Wilson. She's a phenomenal player who's had an incredible career. But when we start ignoring reality in favor of predetermined narratives, we do a disservice to players like Collier who are performing at historically great levels.
People will say, I love A'ja Wilson's game, but she has this victim mindset and her mentality. It just turns me away from watching her and supporting her. And this is not a white and black thing. This is an everybody as a whole thing. It's going to turn people away. If you're going to play the face, there's obligations that come with it. And I'm not saying it's fair, but that's what happens. You're looked at as the highest standard. So you have to be on your P's and Q's, man. Unfortunately, you can't make...
When a player leads her team to a perfect start while putting up MVP caliber numbers, while winning the actual MVP betting odds, while getting the majority vote from league executives, that player deserves the recognition and respect that comes with that performance. The WNBA has its favorites, and it's obvious. But basketball is played on the court, not in press releases or highlight packages. And on the court, right now, Napheesa Collier is showing everyone what the actual standard looks like. Maybe it's time the league and its media partners caught up to reality. Because at the end of the day, numbers don't lie, and wins matter. Collier has both. Wilson has neither to the same degree. And until the Aces figure out how to look like champions again, maybe we should stop pretending their star player is setting the standard for excellence in this league. The season is young, but the message is clear. There's a new sheriff in town, and her name is Napheesa Collier. The question is whether anyone's brave enough to admit it.